Hello, everybody. This is Adam Ginsberg here. I'm with David Somore. This is the newest installation of Third World Airports, and
That's right.
today we're going to be talking about what we think of Donald Trump's job in office so far, the town halls that have been rocking the country. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump's and the administration's blockage of certain news outlets at their press briefings, and we'll be talking about um, the continued talks about Russia and their influence or supposed influence on the U.S. So, Dave, you want to get us started?
All right. Well, Donald Trump causing the media makes it seem like he's causing havoc as usual. But let's start out. I'm going to start out with the positives. That's what I think we should do. Bring out the positives of what Donald Trump is doing because the media makes it seem like it's a whole lot of negative. So now I'm going to use Donald Trump as my source on this. So it
Yeah,
might
that's a
might
great
not be
source.
true, but Donald J. Trump tweeted out today. The media has not reported that the national debt in my first month went down by $12 billion versus a $200 billion increase in the Obama administration's first month. Now, is that true? I have
Do
no
you also
clue.
know that Obama literally came to office in the worst recession since the Great Depression?
Um, I
And he
do,
lit
I do
he
know that.
and now Trump has literally inherited one of the strongest bull economies in history, and it's almost like he's thanking Obama for giving him such a great economy. To be completely honest.
Um, let me let me just check up
It,
on
it,
some.
it more sounds like to me. I mean, first of all, you're taking it from the mouth of Donald Trump himself, who's I know he's been known to tell the truth every time he opens his mouth. So let's take him with a grain of salt there.
Okay.
But literally, Obama came to office in the depths of the Great Recession. His stimulus and through his policies, and also through the natural rebounding of the market, helped the market come back. Many reports are saying that really the 4.9% unemployment rate is it's almost at a point where that's the natural point where jobs you can't really get lower than that unemployment rate. So basically, Trump is inheriting a market which is almost saturated with jobs. Although of course people still have left the workforce, but that's a different issue altogether. But the economy has been growing, and now he's claiming it's because of him almost that Obama set the groundwork for the economy to be growing.
All right. Well, let's talk about the stock market increase ever since Donald J. Trump's been elected. It's just been going higher and higher and higher, and that's ever since November 8th. So I at first I think I said this before. I thought once he won, all the markets got scared and they wanted to invest as much as they could while Obama was still in office. But it turns out that's not the case because we're a month into this presidency, and the Dow just had its 11th straight record close, and I don't know if that's because of has anything to do with Obama or just something with people's trust in Trump and bringing jobs back to this country and helping the economy. But let's what else? What do you think of Trump overall so far?
Well, look, the economy itself has been going up under him, and I'd say that's a good thing. But in terms of real gains for the American people, nothing's really. I mean, he really hasn't had the opportunity to do much in reinstating jobs yet. But I mean, I'm looking at the stats now. The Obama administration, the under his under the administration, there was a 235% return on the stock market. So going back to your point, for him to claim that, like, you know, look at what I did, like I'm the one who's making the stock market go up. Yes, it's in response. Some of it's in response to his election, but at the same time, it's a natural growing of the market. And second of all, what do you think about the fact that it was literally said less than an hour before on Fox News that Herman Cain said this, and suddenly he's repeating it? Like, can this dude like come up with some independent views? He's watching the news. The news is supposed to be reporting on him, but he's reporting on the news.
All right. Speaking of news, well, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I do have some other
All
things
right.
to say. There's some of his executive orders. and not his most famous ones. Some of them like um the ones with he's having the federal agencies evaluate existing regulations to see if there's any job killing regulations. All right. That's a decent one. The one where he banned lobbyists from going back and forth between the government. Again, we talked about that before. That's decent. But then some of these other ones, he scrapped stream protection because he claimed it hurt energy companies. So what we're doing is we're polluting our drinking sources. He took away an anti-corruption measure requiring energy companies to disclose royalties and government payments. This guy said he's going to drain the swamp, and meanwhile, he seems like he is the swamp. And people take him at his word, and in reality, he when is the last time that he's like or I should say, when is the first time when he's ever had a statement that hasn't been questioned and has been accepted as the truth? Because, truth be told, he lies all the time.
All right, well, to your draining of the swamp comment, I think there's a mix of classic Republicans and unorthodox picks. When it comes to completely draining the swamp, I don't think he did that. But when you have appointees like Rex Tillerson and what's his name, the guy from Goldman Sachs, Mnuchin, right? That's his name.
Yeah,
With no government experience, those are people that are not of the swamp. Um,
but they sort of are though. They're Mnuchin is from Goldman Sachs. That's exactly the swamp that Trump claimed to want to drain. He literally killed Ted Cruz for having his wife from Goldman Sachs during the campaign, and then meanwhile hired the head of Goldman Sachs. That's the height of hypocrisy.
I would agree. I would agree with that. So I was just saying in regards to government experience, but that is true.
I
Um,
mean, it's not just government experience, it's also the way people have acted in their previous civilian lives.
yeah. Um, I
I
don't have
I
much
also
to say back to that. And in
I also
regards
will
to
say I
what?
also will say
Okay.
it took him two tries, but hiring General Mc McMaster as the incoming national security advisor, I think if he got that right. Although again, it took Flynn to get fired. At least for me, because he apparently he has been quoted as saying that radical Islamic terrorism was not helpful, or the label radical Islamic terrorism was not helpful because terrorists are quote un-Islamic. So basically, he's breaking with the entire administration in because their whole thing was Hillary will not say radical Islamic terrorism, and meanwhile he's almost taking the Hillary view in that labeling it as radical Islamic terrorism won't do anything, and it'll
No,
just
that's a very swamp esque statement to say that radical Islamic terrorism is not Islam. George W. Bush said the same exact thing, and he's your classical right leaning Republican as well. I think it's more unorthodox
it's
to
unorthodox for
say
Trump
that
and
radical Islam is all Islam than separate the two.
the reason why he says that is because, all right, you're looking through America, you're seeing there was a mosque was just set on fire in Florida 2 days ago, and so what labeling radical Islamic terrorism does, and by saying that, what you're doing is you're giving license, and whether it's true or not, you're giving license to people to link regular everyday Muslims in America with radical Islam with terrorists throughout the world. And what that does is that creates unsafe situations for Muslims in our country.
Well,
Look,
now
labeling it.
that's a whole different issue.
How is that
That
a whole different issue? It won't help. First of all, what it will do is it won't help Muslims.
the debate on Islam, that's a whole different issue that I do not want to get into right now because I'll go we could go on about that for hours.
Why don't you want to get into? All right, fine. We'll go on to something else. But I mean, you're avoiding the topic. But we'll go on to something else.
Um, so another thing recently, Trump spoke yesterday at CPAC. Um, I watched his some of his speech, and basically he just kept on talking about fake news, fake news, fake news, and it's something we've seen for a while now since his presidency. And it was funny because I think the way it went was he was saying all this fake news and they're not representing the American people. But he's like, I'm not going to give names. I'm not going to give names, and we all know who the names are. But he's like, do you want me to? and the crowd was like cheering, and then he listed them off again: CNN, NBC, MSNBC, and then about 3 hours later, Sean Spicer had a press briefing, and they blocked, I believe, CNN, New York Times, Huffington Post, and BuzzFeed from
They blocked.
entering. Am I missing anyone else?
Um, Apparently BBC was blocked as well.
Oh wow.
I'm just trying to look through the list of that's. I think, and it might have been. Did you say the Washington Post? I think they might have
Oh, they
been.
were. I don't know. I know.
I'm not sure about the Post, but the other ones you said yes, and yeah.
And now there's a whole big controversy with that. Of course, I mean, but what are your opinions on that?
My opinions on that is that's a very authoritarian thing to do because as the president of the U.S., in your first 30 days, blocking news outlets that many Americans follow is, first of all, people. All right, I've been looking on Twitter. People have been saying, well, the First Amendment doesn't apply to every press company because other press companies are able to report the news. But the thing is, by allowing Breitbart in, by allowing the other conservative outlets in, and kicking out the liberal outlets, you're creating. I mean, I never thought this was going to come to this, but apparently Donald Trump needs a safe space now, where only friendly conservative and Republican questions will be asked
Adam,
because
I have to cut you off. You're saying it has to come to this now. If you
you're
didn't
right.
know,
It already
if you
came
didn't
to
know,
this.
Barack Obama, when he was a president, he also banned Fox News, and in 2013, he held an off-record meeting with MSNBC hosts only. This isn't new. This is just the hypocrisy of the left.
He also gave an interview to Bill O'Reilly right before the Super Bowl. Obama did. So I don't know exactly what you're saying here. When
Yeah, that was way after. This was in 2009 when the first things he did was block Fox News, and then he realized what he was doing. And so this is
and he
not
realized what he
something
was
new.
doing
Yeah,
and
I'm
then he
giving an
stopped.
interview in the Super Bowl, but that doesn't justify trying to block Fox News in the first place or holding an off-record meeting. What is that? That's
First
just
of all, I'm not justifying Barack
no. But
Obama
you
here.
said that this is new, or that this is
This is
not
new
new. This has
because
happened
Obama didn't do
before,
this
and the
throughout his
left did that to the
administration.
right. So don't say that.
Just like you said, just like you said, he did at the beginning and then he figured it out. Okay? Donald Trump has been more combative with the media than any other president in history.
Because the
And I think
media has been more combative against him than anybody else. The media did this to themselves in the campaign. We've talked about that. All these narratives that they gave to about Donald Trump in the papers, and you look at the articles of all the different New
because
York Times
when there's
articles and the
news when
Washington
there's
Post titles giving these false narratives. You look at Morning Joe, an MSNBC host. The day after the election, I remember clearly he was showing different kinds of articles and the way that they were giving the narrative. And he's like, "This is why Donald Trump won the election because people were pissed about how the media was dis dis showing him, and they
yeah,
did it to themselves. Now it's biting back. And you know
well,
what? Um, this is with the so I don't
to
know what.
quote you, let me stop you there
Okay,
because you're saying, look, the media reported on Trump in an unfair way. There was also news that came out that was perfectly good reported news. The fact on the entire election reporting that Russia was trying to help Donald Trump, and he said in the debate it could have been any 400-pound guy on his couch. Meanwhile, it helped discredit many of the major news sources who were reporting sound information, which was confirmed by all of our major intelligence agencies. So basically, what he's done and what he's doing is
but what about
discrediting.
a BuzzFeed article where they
You, but no one gets their news from BuzzFeed. I'm not even talking about that.
but BuzzFeed
I'm
makes an
talking about CNN,
article
the New York
about the
Times. I'm talking about
supposed.
the Washington Post, respected news outlets. I'm not even talking about BuzzFeed. They're an entertainment site, and they did that whole thing with Hulk Hogan. No one, honestly, BuzzFeed. I don't care about BuzzFeed. Do you? I'm talking about respected journalistic sites. And people say we need a new Walter Cronkite. Well, when the president puts down news organizations. The New York Times was the one to break the thing with Hillary's emails. They were the news outlet to break that. It doesn't really get more. I understand that their opinion page is very liberal based, but it really doesn't get more um fair
all
and balanced than
all I'm
that.
saying is that this isn't new. I think the left loves to forget things
But I'm
that
not
they
even
did
defending
that.
Barack Obama. Donald Trump has
But you
he
made the
literally
comment
tweets
that this is
fake
new.
news in
It's not
capital
new.
letters every day. He literally said at his press briefing, and I quote, "Russia is fake news." How do you like? That's not even an English statement to say Russia is fake news.
No, I
He's
agree with
going
that. I
he's
think
going after the media in a way that when there's an actual event that happens and more events that happen, he can say, "Oh, that didn't happen." When in reality, it's almost like an Orwellian prophecy come true. Like it's double speaking in a way
all
that
I'm saying, if the media took Trump seriously from the beginning and gave him more respect throughout the campaign, I don't think this issue would be the way it is now.
I would disagree with you on that because he found that many people in this country, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, are down and they're not being and they're forgotten, which is true. That's like flyover country. And he found grievances within them, and they are also willing because they like him. They're also willing to put down the media, not even really having followed it in the first place.
Well, those people aren't the people that are concerned here. Those people are the people that watch Fox News every day, and
Yeah,
they're
but
not getting banned
it's
anytime
easy,
soon.
but it's easy to use the mainstream media as a scapegoat. Look, have they portrayed Trump in a completely balanced way? No. But at the same time, the fact that he's literally attacking them, Sean Spicer's attacking them, Conway's attacking them, the White House is attacking the media, it doesn't bode well for democracy.
Yeah, well, here's the I like this I saw this on Fox News. I think Bernie Goldberg was a guest, and he was saying that if the media's aggression towards Trump and Trump's aggression towards the media, if both of them win, America loses. They can both keep fighting and jawing at each other, but it just doesn't help anyone on both sides. Um, but I just
Did
this
you hear
is
what Chef Smith said?
no.
All right, so um, Donald Trump at one of his press conferences said to Jim Acosta, a reporter from CNN, "You are fake news." And this is what Chef Smith. You know, Chef Smith works at Fox News,
Yeah,
right?
no, I think actually I think I know what you're
He
referring
said
to.
it's crazy what we're watching every day. It's absolutely crazy. He keeps repeating ridiculous throwaway lines that are not true at all, and sort of avoiding this issue with Russia as if we're some kind of fools for asking the question. Really? Your opposition was hacked, and the Russians were responsible for it, and your people were on the phone with Russia the same day it's happening, and we're fools for asking questions? No, sir, we're not fools for asking those questions. And we demand to know the answer to this question. You owe this to the American people. Your supporters will support you either way. What were your people saying? We have a right to know. We absolutely do. So what this goes on is what Trump wants is a media that loves him because he loves to be loved. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want an adversarial media.
Yes.
And
Um. No,
a key to democracy is a free and adversarial media. Why shouldn't we be asking him questions about his tax returns? Why shouldn't we be asking him questions about his connections with Russia? Why is it fake news when we bring up these links to his past? I don't know why. It shouldn't be, but because he's labeling it as fake news, it gets discarded and people don't pay attention to it.
I know.
It's a strategy. It's a smart strategy.
It's he
Bannon
plays the game. He plays the
Steve
game
Bannon's
well.
a genius by labeling the media the opposition party because now anything they say, even if it's a totally valid report against Donald Trump, they'll just say, "Nah, it's fake news." Like,
No, I
don't worry, Breitbart's are the real news.
I would agree with you on that. I'm just saying that the left has done this before, and it's not new.
But I'm not
Now is
even
Trump
saying
doing it to a different extent? Perhaps, but
yes.
it's not a new thing to try to ban the opposition or to exclusively have one media group that you favor over another.
But first of all, I'm not trying to defend Barack Obama because I think that you should, if you're a credentialed news organization, you should be allowed into a press conference. But at the same time, you've never had Barack Obama saying or tweeting that major news organizations are fake news, that they are the opposition party. This is above and beyond anything Barack Obama did. And I'm not even trying to defend what he did do because that was wrong in and of itself. But to even give a comparison is totally ludicrous in this situation.
I'm just comparing the banning of media outlets in a press
That's just what you're
conference room.
doing, but you can't look a
I'm
different way.
not talking about Twitter. Okay, first off, President Trump is the first probably world leader. I don't know if the world leader, but definitely one of the first leaders in the Western Hemisphere to use a personal Twitter account the way he does. Of course, Barack Obama had Twitter, but I don't think he directly controlled it. Um, So yeah, but I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm just talking about banning an opposition news network. I think is perfectly valid to say that Barack Obama did it too, the way that Donald Trump is doing, in the sense you're banning the opposition. Calling them fake news is
Banning the
different from
opposition,
banning
this is
someone.
a democracy. You can't ban the opposition, and you can't look at it in a vacuum
I
either. Can't
agree. And then here's something that I thought was interesting. Brett Bayer tweeted. Where is it? Um, Brett Bayer tweeted. Let me find it. Um, he said. He said some. All right. Let me. Sorry. He said something along the lines of when um when Barack Obama banned us, CNN stood up for us, and we should do the same thing. So I
exactly.
don't. So I think I'm in agreement. I don't think anybody should be banned, and I think Donald Trump is wrong in that. But I think it should be a good thing if the media stands up for one another, even if they're on different sides of the spectrum, because that happened. CNN also was defending Fox News when Obama tried to do it, which is why it didn't go to the full extent. Or I mean, they did get banned, but it didn't happen for long.
No, and look, I'm not even defending that because I don't think that's good. But it's it's if this was just an isolated incident, I don't even think it would be as much news as it is. But because Donald Trump has been attacking the media, he has a fake news tweet every day or 2 days since before he's been elected. So this is really one of his main points, and because it's not an isolated incident, it seems it's almost like an escalation of something that could be turned more authoritarian, and no one wants to look back. I mean, look back at history and see what happened when
It's
authoritarians.
also only been his first month, so I don't know how long this will last. Um,
Yeah, but
we have to give him more time, because if Fox News is going to stand up for all the media networks that are not there, that's Donald Trump's biggest ally, and he's not going to start calling them fake news, because then there's no media at all. There's going to be a point where he's going to have to. Right now, it's the first month. He's going out of control.
yes,
But I think as time goes on, he's going to these. There's going to be ways that the media is going to combat what Trump is doing.
I mean, here's the thing. People have said, don't worry. I like Donald Trump now. I love his ideas. This was during the campaign. But when
Mm-hmm.
he's elected, he'll start to act presidential. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What you're saying is something on a similar strain in that give him a couple of months. He'll start to settle down. What in his previous um behavior has made it seem like he'll settle down? If anything,
Um.
it'll make it seem like he'll
He does.
escalate things
He has
more.
done that. I think there's obvious behavior of that. Every time he had someone running against him, whether it be in a primary or the general election against Hillary, all these comments, little Marco, lying Ted, lock up Hillary, saying in the national debate that he's going to put her in jail and get a private investigator. And what happens when he beats them? Then he's like, oh no, they were a great opponent. I respect them highly. And I think it could be a very similar situation with the media, where if the media and Trump can come to a compromise and the aggression
But they're not
goes
even they're
down, wait, and the aggression goes down, then Trump will look at them respectfully. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. But Trump has a history of laying off once he wins. But that's how he works.
but first of all, he would say something about Hillary in one breath, and then in the next breath, when he goes to like the his inauguration speech, totally put down Barack Obama. So what, basically, and you saying that Trump and the media come to a compromise, that's not how it works. You don't. Trump doesn't. It's not like you're making a deal with the media and like, all right, we're going to agree on set terms. The media reports the news, and have they been slanted? Some have. I'm not going to lie, but you don't just come to a compromise and stop there. Trump has realized that attacking the news has been one of his most successful endeavors, even though his most polarizing too. So to say that he's just going to stop one of his most successful things, I mean, he literally held a campaign rally in Florida in the last week. So and it's
But,
more than a month after he's been
but what does
elected.
that
So
have to do with it? Why is that a
because he
bad
attacked the
thing?
media there too, and you said that he calms down after he gets elected, but he bragged about his electoral college victory. Like, I don't understand. You're saying that he calms down, but really he just brings things back up again. But anyway, all right. If you want to say something to finish your point, you could say it, but we have to move on to other topics
No,
for
there will be plenty of time to talk about Trump. That's for sure. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the Republican town halls that are going on across the country, and there's mixed feelings about this across the political spectrum. I think that basically the people on the right are saying, "Oh, all these people are paid actors. They're all paid. George Soros is hiring them and shipping them and busing them across um, the country to go talk and say bad things." And then the left is saying, "Oh, all these Republicans like hate Donald Trump and are speaking out against him." I think it's a mix, maybe a mix of both. But I am finding it interesting how many people are standing up, and it's kind of Tea Party esque, it seems. But that's the way I've interpreted it. What do you think about what's
well,
been
first
going
of
on?
all, to claim that all these people, American people, were standing up in town halls, all these American people of the many of them of the working class, many of them who comprise Donald Trump's um, electorates, to claim that they're paid by George Soros to talk, I think is really insulting. I really do. Um, Look, the Democrats are having town halls too, and although they're not as um, combative as the Republican town halls, some Democrats, just like Republicans, aren't necessarily. Some of them are skipping too.
Well, I don't think it's right now to compare the Democratic transition process in those town halls with the Republican ones.
Well,
Because right now the Democratic Party is going through something extremely different right now, including I've been trying to follow up with the DNC elections and not the election hasn't happened yet, but the different candidates that are running, and it's much more calm it seems on that end.
well, I mean, when you're basically at rock bottom, like the Democrats are,
Yeah,
it's not like you have to go. I mean, the Republicans are in power right now. How can Democrats air their grievances to other Democrats and expect them to do anything? Republicans control both the House, the Senate, and the White House. So, but the point I was trying to make is because some Republicans have skipped out on town halls,
yeah,
Democrats have as well. But the point I was going to make is Republicans, because they're in power, have to be held accountable. While
yes,
Democrats, no one should be skipping their town halls. But
agreed.
Republicans are right now in power. They are the ones who are formulating the policy. So to not hear from their constituents and to willingly avoid them, I think, is a shirking of the responsibilities of democracy. People forget that we the people came up with the Constitution, and we the people um, elect our representatives. It's almost like these these representatives think that the people are beholden to them. Meanwhile, it should be the other way around.
Yeah,
And I think it's good that people are speaking out on their anger about Donald Trump because many of them are now realizing that, like, damn, like this is actually happening, and like it's not theoretical anymore. Many of the things he's saying and doing are not what we actually want. I mean, he's he's not even draining the swamp, which is what many of these people wanted.
hmm and I looked at a few different town halls, and the highlight of it is when they speak about Obamacare. Um, there was one specific one that I was looking at. It was an Arkansas town hall with representative. It was either a representative senator. I think it was. I mean, I don't know, and I don't know remember his name, but the lady asked a simple question. She was basically saying, "You guys keep to oh, it was Tom Cotton, Senator Tom Cotton," and
Mm-hmm.
she was asking, you know, the Trump campaign and the Republicans have really been emphasizing the repeal of Obamacare and are seems really certain on that, but you haven't really spoken about replacing Obamacare. And this is an issue I have with the Republican Party as well because it just seems like they originally ran on repealing it and not replacing it, and when they realize they have to replace it, um, they're like they realize later, crap, we have to come up with a plan. And she asked, "So what is your plan? Could you like give any insight on what the plan is to replace Obamacare with?" And he said, "Thank you for your question. Any other questions or comments?" Completely dismissed her. Now, I think that's what either Republicans are BSing it and saying, well, we're going to do across state lines of buying insurance, and that's the way we're going. But that doesn't answer the question. That's just like BSing around it. I guess it was kind of funny because he just straight up dismissed it because I don't think there really is a plan right now. And buying insurance across state lines does not help anyone with pre-existing conditions. It completely avoids the notion. Um, and I know this one lady spoke up against a Mitch McConnell town hall and completely blasted him. And I forgot what it was on, but then she sat him down, and then he sat her down. And he's like, "Oh, so you're gonna silence me like Elizabeth Warren?" And that was like, "Whoa! I
Yeah, I
can't believe
saw that
someone
one.
said that to the Speaker of the House, I mean the Senate Majority Leader, which is just absolutely insane." What do you think about all this?
So to go on with what these town halls are doing is because over the last 6 years or so, actually 8 years since Obama was elected president, the Republicans have been the opposition party. And what that means is they never really had to come up with true policy. What they could do, and what many times they did, was just oppose Democratic policy. Now that they're in power, I really think that they're being exposed, and what these town halls are doing is exposing them for not really having their ear to the ground in many cases, because many people, although they don't like the name Obamacare, they do like many of the features of Obamacare, and to just adhere to your party lines and say repeal, we're going to repeal, we're going to repeal, and then suddenly in the past few months it's been repeal and replace, but it never really was repeal and replace until recently. But to
Exactly.
say we're going to repeal, 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 and then suddenly realize, oh crap, people actually like this, or they like features of it. They don't like the high cost, but they want to be covered when their employers don't cover them. It's really just a failing of listening, because Obama picked this as a signature issue, and Republicans, in many cases, just wanted to oppose Obama. And although Obamacare has had many features that have been bad, and I totally agree with that, I agree that it should be fixed, and I agree there are things to fix, but to repeal it completely and not listen to your constituents, which they're trying to do, they're trying to repeal it. I think it's just, I think it's a failure of democracy. And also to look further at these town halls, I'm glad that they're I'm glad that people are um, pushing on their people are first of all pushing on Congress
Yeah, and I think
to
when you said failure of democracy, um, but it's the failure of democracy on the part of the Republican Party ignoring their constituents who like Obamacare is allowing this beautiful rise of democracy in the sense that people are speaking up against their leaders. And I
that's
don't
true.
remember that happening as much in the past in these town halls. But this is amazing to see across the country. People are going out of their way, finding these town halls and getting their butts in there and talking to their representatives. I think that's great and that's admirable. And it's great to see people are saying, "Oh, the Republicans are uneducated voters. Oh, blah, blah, they're idiots. They're hicks." And then you see what these complaints are, and that these people know what they're talking about, and they voted for Trump for a certain reason, and they want Trump to follow through.
I 100% agree with you on that. And the failure of democracy I was referring to is the fact that people are talking and now Republicans aren't following through on what the people wanted. I'm not in any way trying to suggest that people coming into these town halls is a
No, I
failure
know
of
that's not what
democracy.
you're saying.
No, I am 100% glad for it, just like you are. But at the same time, as I'm reading right here, New Jersey Representative Leonard Lance was told at a town hall, "I suggest now is the time to put country before party." So basically, what it is just what these people want is they want policies that will help their life, and they want public leaders to be accountable, whether it's Russia, whether it's releasing their tax returns. They don't want their politicians who they elect in good faith to just stay with the party lines,
Yeah.
because although that'll help the politicians get money from their party to get reelected, that won't do anything to help the people. And I really think it just shows that maybe our party system is just corrupt. And I mean, we saw it in the DNC with supporting Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. It's corrupt, and maybe it's even outdated because it's not representing the people anymore. Maybe we're in need of um a reshaping of our politics.
Yeah. There's a lot, but I think it's a great thing that people are speaking up, and I'm glad that that is happening. And if the media, at least if the media, he can't say for that long, fake Republicans, fake Republicans. He hasn't really said that yet. But if the people who voted for him are speaking and trying to hold him accountable, if Bannon tries to come up with a strategy to delegitimize that, I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't think that will. I think at one point these senators and representatives have to bring this up when they go to D.C. But we'll
I
see what
mean,
comes out of that.
their jobs are in maybe they're in jeopardy. So I mean, maybe we'll I don't know. Maybe hopefully there'll be some sort of reshaping of how people how representatives interact with the president.
And this might be a great if Republicans don't follow through on this, this will be a great opportunity for Democrats to win the House and the Senate in 2020
And 2018, but
2018. So because if people are speaking up and they're seeing these representatives that they probably voted on the ballot year election after election and now they're going out, it could be a great opportunity that Democrats can capitalize on.
I mean, let's not forget though that the Democratic Party still is in it's still torn between its corporatists and its grassroots Bernieists
Well,
basically.
yeah,
So
but we'll see how the DNC elections turn out. There's a lot. I looked at. There's a lot of young people running. A lot of young people, young progressive grassroots people running. Um, and and by 2018, maybe that'll be established, and the Democratic Party will make that transition. I don't know if they will, but if
yep,
not 2018, probably 2020. But that's why Republicans have to come up with a repeal that works. I mean, a replacement that works.
right, and basically just to benefit the American people, because whichever party does it, as long as the people get, as long as not just the people, as long as we, the people, get what what we have, what we get the promise, or not the promises, but we get the goods that we have elected our representatives to do, then I think that whether it's a Democrat or Republican who does it, and we're satisfied with the results, then I think then our country and our system has succeeded. But it doesn't. But if people just continue with on their track of just staying on the party line to get the party's money and to get reelected, then nothing's going to happen, and the polarization in our country is going to become greater.
Yeah.
Do we have any other issues we're going to talk about?
Um, Russia, we kind of addressed it a little bit, but um, I think that you wanted to bring some. Do you have anything else you want to bring up about Russia?
I just wanted to. We did address this, so just quick, I guess. Just talking about Michael Flynn and the fact that he got fired almost by Donald Trump for talking with Russia on the same day that the sanctions that Obama put were handed down. I
Uh-huh.
just think I just think that there needs to be a congressional investigation by even maybe it's even when they appoint an independent outside investigator who's nonpartisan. I'd be fine with that into Russia's influence on the White House and on the election because
Now, wait, is your
I just
issue with the phone call, talking to a foreign nation before being in office? Is that the problem that
the problem
you
is
have?
that the problem is also undermining the existing president of the U.S., which was Obama,
But
and also the
do you
problem with
believe it is wrong to talk to a foreign nation's government after you won the election, but you're not in the White House yet?
yes,
All right. Well,
you're
Barack
not
Obama
official.
did that with Iran in 2007, leading up to his 2008 inauguration. He talked to them, basically saying,
First of all,
"Don't worry, we're coming. We're gonna get this deal done," etc. Um, so it's happened before, once again, and this is where I think there's hypocrisy in the left. And if the issue is talking to a foreign nation before you are in the office, but you are elected as president, it happened with their candidate as well, and I don't think that's that much of a problem.
I think first of all, it's a problem that he lied to the vice president.
That is an issue, but I don't think it's an issue for an administration to talk to foreign governments once they've won the election. I mean, what difference is it going to make?
There's a law on our books, which you have to respect, that citizens of the U.S. cannot negotiate with a foreign government and go around the existing um, officials in place. And there's a reason why there's that rule. It's so that we have a unified front, and so that the people who are supposed to be doing their jobs can do their jobs. Michael Flynn, who, by the way, has some pretty crazy, I should say, maybe still has some pretty crazy views, and the reason I think he was handed the job is because he was a loyalist to Trump from the beginning. He went around the law. So basically what you're doing is you're defending the fact that this guy broke a law of our country. That's what you're doing.
So did Barack Obama break a law?
First of all, I don't know that story, and if he did, again, I'm not defending it. But this is what happens. I'm
It's
not
just, I
defending what
think
Barack Obama does.
see,
This is
we
what
know
happens,
this.
though.
What?
I bring up an example of what happened. You bring up an example of Barack Obama as if
Yeah.
I'm going to defend it, which I don't even
No,
support
but
that.
I mean, it's just like, because we're splurging out things that the media gives us, and it's the leftist media keeps on trying to bring out these flaws, and they complain about it and complain about it, but it's obvious they didn't complain about it when Barack Obama did the same exact thing. And it's this selective criticism and this selective memory that the left keeps on doing in this country. Whenever
But
it's
it was the
someone
same
opposed to
day that
them doing
sanctions
it,
were
then it's an
handed
issue.
down. It's like it's not just like, okay, they just talked to Iran. Like, first of all, I'm not defending it, but
It has to do with a
Obama.
nuclear deal. That's a pretty big deal to talk to a foreign nation about before you're in the White House, if you think that's an issue. That's a big thing to talk about.
Obama handed out sanctions because Russia um was trying to influence the election to get Donald Trump to be president. Then you have Donald Trump, one of his advisors, talking to Russia on the same day that Obama lays down the sanction, which is undermining the President of the United States. There was there I don't know how that's defensible by any standard. I really don't, and I'm glad he got fired. I'm glad McMaster's did, because I think McMaster at least I don't know if I agree with everything that he said, but at least he has an independent head on his shoulders.
Um, and it's a sanction that you're establishing in your last month of office, and it has nothing to do with It has to do with, it's not direct allegations against Russia that they were directly tied in influencing the election, and it was more, it seemed like, a move by the Democrats because they were butthurt that they lost.
No, here's what I think about it. I think that, and maybe I'll take some flack for it, but I think that Obama took the high road because he did not say anything about Russia during the election, and it was highly reported that Russia was trying to influence the WikiLeaks and trying to influence Donald Trump to be elected before the election. He didn't say anything. Liberals gave him a lot of like hard leftists gave him a lot of criticism for that. They should have said, "Hey, They said you should have condemned Russia beforehand." But in the meanwhile, he waited till after the election. He let the election took its turn, and then when it became established that Russia did try to influence the election, then he punished them. Because you're saying that liberals are butthurt, Obama was butthurt, didn't do anything.
Yeah, they are butthurt.
Basically, what you're saying is, oh, we're condoning that a foreign power tried to influence our American election, but just because we lost, we shouldn't put any sanctions on them. You're just saying that the ends justify the means here, like. Russia still tried to influence our election. A foreign power influenced the U.S. election, and you're saying that just because Trump won, that there shouldn't be any repercussions for that. That's blasphemy almost. I don't even understand how you can make that point and still call yourself like an independent thinking American.
For once again, I just think it's funny that Democrats complain about information that was leaked, and they don't talk about the information that was leaked. If the Democratic Party had integrity and was transparent, and they did not try to influence the elect of who their candidate was in a very suspect way, this wouldn't even be an issue. And people forget about that. And that's what gets me extremely upset. The corruption of the Democratic Party was exposed. What justifies the corruption?
Nothing justifies that. I'm not even
That's
arguing
what
with
the
you.
left forgets to talk about. Oh, they leaked information. Well, if your party was transparent and did not try to corruptly choose who their candidate was and tried to ruin Bernie Sanders, and you purposefully go out of your way to make Hillary your candidate, even though Bernie Sanders had a very strong shot at beating President Trump and it backfires, that's your problem. I'm sorry. I don't understand.
First of all, look, I agree with you that they were corrupt, but the extent of Russia influencing the election wasn't just releasing the leaks. They released news stories, and what they also did do was they did hack the Republican database too, but they didn't release any of the information. They didn't release information on Donald Trump's tax returns if they had them. They only released information on the Democrats. So they still, and while I agree with you that yes, the Democratic Party was corrupt, and I've said this from the beginning. I don't think Hillary Clinton was a strong candidate or a good candidate to run. But to just minimize the fact of what Russia's done, even Republican senators and congressmen like John McCain have said, look, we need an independent investigation into this because this is bigger than partisan politics. This is bigger than partisan politics.
All right, then let's do an investigation, and I think that's okay. Let's do an investigation and see what Russia did.
And also, can I just make a point, because
Go ahead.
I didn't know anything about the Iran thing you were saying before. So and I just want to say what happened, because in 2008, Robert Malley, he was the foreign policy advisor to Obama's campaign. He stepped down after it was revealed that he met with Hamas members. And yes, Hamas is a terrorist organization.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, Malley's job description was Middle East Program Director at the International Crisis Group.
Okay.
And he said, his quote was, "I've never hidden the fact that I had meetings with Hamas, or Hamas, whatever." But that was his.
Why is someone on the Obama administration meeting with terrorist groups?
But that was his private job as the Middle East Program Director at the International Crisis Group. And then he quit the campaign because the meetings were a distraction, and he didn't want to have any misperception. So basically, it's not.
Now
Imagine,
but wait. Imagine
Malley,
if Donald Trump, Michael Flynn was meeting with the
this was part of that
the
dude's job, and then he quit
KGB
the campaign.
before the election, and then that was leaked. Imagine the outcry.
Well, first of all, we don't know if Russia's contacted Trump's campaign before the election. But also, this dude, Robert Malley, quit. He quit Obama's campaign once it became a distraction. Flynn did not quit. He bore down. And then he had to be ousted once it was released that he lied to the vice president. And so, look, I understand it's sketchy that this guy, Robert Malley, met with Hamas, but he also had a legit excuse as part of his private job. And secondly,
I think you're
he quit.
downplaying meeting with a terrorist organization. You're just saying it like it's nothing.
I don't know what the International Crisis Group does.
But okay, I would imagine, if we're going to talk about a terrorist group, and if someone in the Trump campaign, if we're talking about Russia, and then Michael Flynn had a private meeting with the KGB, just imagine the backlash. Because I don't think that was that. Once again, we were very young in 2008, but I'm sure that was not that big. That was probably only talked about for an extensive time on Fox News.
But if you had someone in the Trump campaign who his private job is working for UNICEF,
okay,
and then he talked to the Russian government, and that was the issue there. I would be like, all right, he worked for UNICEF, he's talking to the Russian government, but Flynn didn't. This dude, that's why it's not even comparable situation. And I'm not defending the fact that he did it, but I'm looking at it and saying he had justification for talking to Hamas if he worked for the International Crisis Group. So I'm not this is what happens in the media. There's false equivalence of stuff that happened years ago, when in reality it just minimizes the impact of what happens in today's world.
And then I don't know if this is we're not talking about the same thing though. I'm talking about U.S. President. This is CNN Politics article in 2009. U.S. President Obama sent a direct message to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, I don't know how to say his name, Khamenei, weeks before this month's disputed election. I'm referring to that. I'm just saying, speaking to a foreign government before being president, before being in the White House. That's what I'm talking about. You were saying that breaks a rule, and the left just, this is a CNN article. Trump claims it's the Clinton News Network. They just casually post an article saying Obama spoke to a foreign nation and it's perfectly okay. And then when Michael Flynn is in contact with Russia, once they won the election but aren't in the White House yet, I probably could pull up a CNN article right now and see the outcry and the tears coming through the article that he did such a terrible thing. But it wasn't bad when we were talking to the government
Do you
of
also
a
know?
country that wants to wipe Iran off the map. That's not an issue. It's just not an issue because it's Barack Obama.
But do you also know that the Ayatollah Khomeini sent a letter to Obama first?
Okay, but isn't the right thing according to the left to wait till you're in the White House?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It's the right
so
thing.
it doesn't
He didn't do
matter.
the right thing, but
So it doesn't matter. Then
he
it
didn't
doesn't
do.
matter.
He didn't do the right thing.
So then it doesn't
But
matter who sent the letter first because you still talk to them before you're in the White House, and that's
yeah,
what the
but
whole
but then
outcry
you're
is
just
about.
using it to say, oh, it's okay. General Flynn did it. It's not okay.
I'm not
And
saying it's okay. I don't even know, but I don't personally have a problem with it. I'm just pissed
yeah,
off at
you're saying it's okay.
I don't think it's an issue. Once you're elected as president, I think it's okay to get the ball rolling and try to establish things. But why? I just it's the hypocrisy of the left that I hate. That's my issue.
I'm just I'm trying to figure out why is that hypocrisy? Because
It's a casual article talking about it like it's no big deal on CNN in 2009, referring to something he did before he was elected. And then if you pull up a CNN article in 2016 about Flynn talking to a foreign nation before he's in the White House, it's a terrible thing.
because it came on the same day Obama sanctioned Russia for influencing the election. If it was by itself, I don't even think it would be that big of a deal. Because Russia had such a big deal in our election, then that's why it's a huge deal. But anyway, if you
Politics is a dirty game. There's no integrity on both sides, and there's flaws on both sides, and that's just how it is.
okay,
I guess we can come to that agreement.
yeah, that's universally accepted.
Yes, and that's why it's brought out. It's brought out on both sides. But this was a good conversation, productive. So anything else? Closing.
Nope. That's it.
Close out with. That's it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Adam and I will get more content out next week. Let's see what else Donald J. Trump is going to do. I'm sure something will pop up in the news. And have a great week. Thank you.